right, Algebra 2, let's get to work. We are on lesson 7.7, and we're writing quadratic equations. A quadratic equation is typically in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, and if it's a quadratic function, we usually call it f of x. Y is also fine, depending on what your curriculum is working with. Our essential question says, can you write quadratic equations or functions using info about roots? Now, I don't love the way I have it written down here, but what I'm saying here is x squared minus the sum of the roots, x plus the product, is the formula that you will use. And this formula will help you so much. So the sum and the product are what we're going to use with the roots. So let's go ahead and start with example 1. It says find a quadratic equation with the roots 3 plus I over 2 and 3 minus I over 2. So we have f of x is equal to x squared minus the sum of x plus the product. Well, when I add these, notice the I and the negative I will cancel out, and we get 6 over 2 because it has a common denominator. So we're just going to put 3 in for the sum. Now I'm going to go ahead and multiply over here. 3 plus I over 2. 3 minus I over 2. Well, 2 times 2 is 4. That's the bottom. 3 times 3 is 9. Notice the outer negative 3i, inner positive 3i will all cancel out, and the last term's negative I squared. Well, negative I squared is equal to negative 1. So on the top, I have 10 over 4, which reduces to 5 over 2. So my final answer is f of x equals x squared minus 3x plus 5 over 2. Now, a lot of times they're going to ask you to go ahead and solve this by not having a fraction. So if I had to do that, I would multiply everything through by 2. So we would have 2x squared minus 6x plus 5 is equal to 0, or is equal to f of x. So be prepared to see either of these. I typically like it actually solved where we don't have any fractions. All right, let's go ahead and look at another. We're going to zoom in here, and I'm going to give you another. What if I give you the roots for plus root 5? We'll call this example 1a. And for minus root 5. Again, we're going to use the equation f of x equals x squared minus the sum of x plus the product. When I add these two, 4 plus 4 is 8. Notice the root 5 and the negative root 5 cancel out. When I multiply these two, 4 times 4 is 16. The outers will be negative 4 root 5, inners will be positive 4 root 5, those cancel, minus root 25, so that's 16 minus 5, which is 11. How did you do? All right, a lot of times you guys forget that sometimes polynomials have 3 terms. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to see that we have the roots a negative 3, a positive 4, and a positive 1/4. So I'm going to put this first one in that same formula, f of x equals x squared minus the sum of x plus the product. Well, when I add negative 3 and 4, I get 1. When I multiply, I get negative 12. So a lot of times my students say, what do I do with that 1/4? So let's talk about something backwards. Okay, we learned how to factor, and let's say if I factored and I had to find the solutions, and I had these equal to 0. And we talked about how we could take the opposite out to make this a 5, and how we could do the opposite of 1 over 2 to make that a 1/2. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you may have to go back to that lesson to look. I don't know what lesson that is off the top of my head, but it's solving by factoring. So what we did is we have 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. We add the 1 over, and we divide by 2. But I just tell my students take the opposite of -1 and divide by 2. And that's where we get the 1/2. So now we're given this, and we have to put it, oh, we have 1/4 though. So we have to put it into a binomial. So notice that this x squared minus x minus 12 is those two, and now I have a 4x minus 1. Well, we have to distribute the 4x through all three. 4x cubed minus 4x squared minus 48x, and I have to distribute the -1 to all three. Negative x squared plus x plus 12, and we get our final answer with those roots. So my final answer is f of x, and I just like to add right down 4x cubed minus 5x squared minus 47x plus 12.